Hello everyone, welcome back to the Magical Jill channel. Just a brief one today, but one that I am excited about, which was actually announced, I believe, a few days ago. As far as new shonen anime, there is a upcoming one that we finally know is in production from the creator, the original creator, Hiromu Arakawa of Fullmetal Alchemist. I think the 2003 series was probably my introduction to actual serious anime, and by that I mean not just something, that was butchered by 4Kids in the States. And this is Daemons of the Shadow Realm, which actually will spill into our question of the day today. How do you pronounce this word? I see arguments about this all the time. I see people say it's demon, basically like without the A, and I see people say it's daemon. How do you pronounce it? Genuinely curious, because whenever I have to pronounce anything originating from a Japanese title originally and translated to English, somebody corrects me. So I would like to know. But this is actually coming from Studio Bones, and they did do some classics like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, for example, which is probably also one of my favorite anime of all time. There has been some actual time for this manga to accumulate chapters because it did start in 2021. We are now in 2025. So that means that this is probably not a situation like FMA 2003 or like the 80s and 90s classics of anime where they're going to need to blast right past it and do a bunch of random stuff on their own. This is probably going to be up there with Studio Bones' very accurate rendition of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now, were there some changes? Yeah, sure. There's a change here, there's some added stuff. Obviously, they did do a different opening because they didn't want to do the exact same one-for-one opening of FMA 03, which makes sense. But in general, this is something that I am very excited for, and there are very few negatives around this story, but there is one for me, which is that in a lot of territories, this is going to be distributed by Crunchyroll. Now, I don't really have a big problem with Crunchyroll in and of itself, but when it comes to relying on streaming services for media preservation or for access to media, I have never been a fan of it. We've talked in the past about why we think it is important for you, if you do like these types of media, you do like this art form, to actually support the physical releases if you can. Keyword is if. I know a lot of people with finances and stuff like that, you can't. And even for us, we have to pick our absolute favorites if we're going to support any kind of physical release of anime. Now that said, there have been examples of Crunchyroll distributed anime or Crunchyroll exclusive anime that go on to get physical releases or that go on to get physical releases through the Crunchyroll store. They do find their way to make their money. I'm not saying that this will never get any kind of physical release. I'm just saying that when it comes down to it, when it is a primarily streaming service, which is trying to get more and more control over the anime industry, I believe, that is your distributor, I don't know, I have some pause with that. I worry about that a little bit. Recently we talked about Sailor Moon, with Sailor Moon, the Crystal films, in the Sailor Moon Crystal continuity, like Eternal Part 1 and 2, Cosmos Part 1 and 2, and how to this day there still is not a localized, or I should say translated or dubbed version of that movie set of those 4 films for anywhere outside of Japan that I know of. There might be maybe Eternal got one somewhere, but in general, it's like Japan got physicals and then Netflix got it for everyone else. And that kind of sucks. So that's something that I do worry about a little bit with this, but in general, this does look good. The series is actually being directed by Masahiro Ando, who is known for Sword of the Stranger, and there is a pretty all-star cast so far in terms of people handling music composition, soundtrack, things like that are attached to the project, and it does look really good. And if you were a fan of Hiromu Arakawa's work, you can already read a ton of this manga. It is actually out. I believe there was a 10th volume that was coming out just a few days ago, or maybe it was just today actually when I record this. So there's a lot going on with this. Now, if you are wondering if you would be interested in this anime or in the manga it is based off of, there is a free preview of it over on the Square Enix Manga and Books website, but one small synopsis of Volume 1 without spoilers, just, like the please read our book synopsis, is in a world where certain humans command mighty supernatural duos called Daemons, it is the birthright of the children who sunder day and night, twins Yuru and Asa, to rule over these powerful entities. Separated from a young age and unaware of the truth of their birth, brother and sister must fight to make their way back to each other, claim their birthright, and save the world. Now, interestingly, again, it is a sibling story, but it is done from a different perspective. Of course, these are people who have been separated from birth, and I do expect Studio Bones to deliver when it comes down to it. I really just am concerned at the end of the day by the distribution of it in territories outside of Japan. That's really it. Other than that, this is already shaping up to be a great announcement. Really, anything Arakawa makes, I am there for to check out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I am always interested in it. What do you think about the announcement? Do you care? Do you not? What do you want to see out of it? For me, that distribution, and also hoping that it gets treated a little better by Square outside of Japan. Square Enix did not treat Fullmetal Alchemist very good outside of Japanese borders. Most of the video games never got translated. Mobile got shut down. Distribution was not the best in terms of the physicals. I just hope that this is treated better by them, and I hope they kind of learn their lesson on that. Appreciate your feedback as always. If you want to support the channel, you can use our Fortnite code. That helps us out a lot. Otherwise, we do have our own store, cosmobunny.shop. My wife Jill works very diligently over there, making coasters, keychains, trays, and more from recycled paper. Now, what we do is we believe in giving this paper and this art a new life transformatively through a new medium. So we take damaged books, whether they be manga, magazines, comics, or more, and we make coasters, keychains, trays, and more out of those things. And then, of course, we recycle the rest to keep it out of landfills. As well, we do also have handmade resin and beaded jewelry over there on that site, so that is fantastic, and code SAILOR will get you 10% off your first purchase. We hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next one.